The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily those of the staff or management of Worldwide Digital Broadcasting Corporation.
Welcome to Consciously Rising. I'm your host, Jeff Renel, and we are on WWDBTV.com. Today we're having a little panel here, so I brought along a bunch of my friends so we could have a really good time and talk about some serious issues. You know, life is really changing fast right now, especially since 2012. You know, which is funny. The Mayans put in their ancient texts and stuff that the world would change as we know it, and it definitely is. The energy is amazing. It's going super fast. I mean, I can't even keep up with my days. It's unbelievable, and then they go by so fast. And so I know other people are having this same difficulty on keeping up with what's going on in life right now. And so that's why I brought everybody here together today, so we can kind of talk about some of the issues and how maybe we can help get out some information that might help our listeners out there be able to move through this transition a little bit more smoothly than what's going on right now, because we definitely have a lot of different discord going on right now in society. So I will introduce my guest really quick. We got Samela Dingus, and Samela is the founder of Your Next Option and the owner, correct?
Correct.
Would you like to tell us a little bit about Your Next Option really quick?
My organization is an organization for individuals 55 years and older looking for alternatives to retirement. In the old days, people lived to be 62, 63, 65. Now they live to be 85, 90, 95. And it's important that we use something, do something, make some impact with those years that we've been given.
Very true, and that's why I brought you here, especially because I love what you're doing, because that's the truth. We are living longer lives now, and I feel, and I've seen in some elderlies that I know, that once they get retired, they're sitting around doing nothing and basically just watching their life go by when they still have a good 20, 30 years left in their life, and they're sitting around doing nothing and just getting grumpy, and that's that's not what it should be. And I think we as a society can use their knowledge and their information, especially with what we're moving into.
Exactly.
Yes. And then we also have right next to her, we got Cristina Alfonso-Zea. Did I say that right?
Yes, you did.
Awesome. Chris is the founder of Blissful Vets, which is a great organization as well. So would you like to tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. How's everybody doing? It's Christine over here. So Blissful Vets is an educational type of organization. I help educate veterans on the benefits of cannabis. And so I feel like I am the front kind of line between all of the nonprofits, just because there's a lot of red tape going around and there's a lot of hush-hush. But that doesn't mean that veterans aren't getting healed. And so if they're going to use cannabis or marijuana, however you would feel, you need to know what you're ingesting. How is it going to affect your family? How is it going to affect you as a person? You know, what is your future here in Nevada? And so we go over that.
That's awesome. And yeah, we just met not too long ago. And when I found out what you're doing, I absolutely love it, because it's dear to my heart in a way. You know, I have some friends that are, they're not vets, but they unfortunately got hooked on the opiates through surgery. And now, unfortunately, they're one of the statistics out there, and it saddens me watching that, but there's not much you can do on certain things. But you're definitely stepping up to the plate and helping people out in a huge way. So I definitely am a big supporter of what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And we have here next to me, Jodi Friedman.
Hi, Jeff.
Hello. And you are the host of I'm sorry, now I'm going to say the
Intentional.
wrong. Intentional. I wrote it down, but I could barely read my writing. Intentional Healing. So you are the host of Intentional Healing and also a Reiki master, and what else as well?
Well, I'm doing meditations in gardens all over town. I'm working with people's subconscious mind finances, love relationships. I'm doing workshops. I'm teaching Reiki certifications, coaching, you name it, I'm doing it.
Awesome, awesome. And really quick, if you don't mind, I know you're just creating this new program.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that
Sure.
really quick?
Yeah, well, with the last week, we are shifting into high gear with the healers in town. We've had our first meeting and putting together the healing community to interact with each other, all the different centers, and create something going forward, and not just stopping after 1 month of all this change. We want to be part of the change in a big way and make it a national something that brings the whole world together with healing.
Yeah, and I'm a big supporter of that as well, too.
Absolutely.
My center is called the Sacred Art of Healing, and one of the reasons I called it that is because I knew there wasn't just one piece of the puzzle. There's many pieces to that puzzle,
Absolutely.
and the way I get to my end result might not be the same way that you will get to your end result. So we need that different information there. So what you're doing with all the different communities and bringing the healers together, I think is really important. And if the healers can't come together in a state of love, then I think we're really in trouble, because that's what they're all about.
Absolutely. Well, and then not just the healers, but different things for people in the community, adding in music and dance and whatever we come up with. But we're forming committees now and putting something into the future.
Awesome, awesome. And I
Very
know you have a
exciting.
date set up here coming soon that you're going to try to have an activity and an event going, but I don't know
Right.
if you have that planned out yet. So
We
I
don't
know
have the
if you wanna-
actual date, so
Okay.
I'll tell you next week if
All
you
right.
have me back.
Well, we can do that. And do you want to talk a little bit about your show really quick too? Because I know you
Sure.
also have a show. So what is your show about?
Well, I've been actually interviewing the healers in town. So will you be on one of my shows?
I would love to anytime.
Yeah, what we're doing is I'm letting people know what the different healers do at different centers so that people can kind of see in one arena what we all do, what's different, what's the same, because not everybody's going to say what I do or what you do, and then we can cross-reference and share our healing modalities with each other and the community.
And that's awesome. Yeah, and sometimes the person needs more than just one different type of modality. I know I've studied several, and all of them seem to help and work in different ways.
You taught me a theta class years ago.
Yeah,
remember
actually, yeah, I do. That was a long time ago. God bless you for that. I wasn't a good teacher back then. Well, I was, but just very, very beginning level.
Developing your skills.
Yes, exactly, and thank you for letting me develop with you. So next to me, if you've seen my shows before, you might remember this face, Michael Sean Brown. Amazing guy, and that's why I had to have him back, and I think you have great knowledge, especially for some of the topics we're going to talk about today.
Thank you.
You are the Chief Executive of the Delphi Southern Nevada Project.
Yep.
Would you like to tell our listening
Sure.
audience a little bit about this?
Yeah, sure. We're developing about 5,000 acres in the Searchlight Calnavar area. We've been working on developing a music festival theme park that's an emergent technology showcase just north of Searchlight. But then about 2 years ago, the town of Calnavar came up for sale, and Nancy Kidwell selected us out of about 140 groups to come in there, mostly because I'm an intentional community developer. Since 2011, I've looked at how to develop intentional communities, how to live together, how to co-house, how to do this. And I've been through transition town training with Living Mandala to figure out how to take the infrastructure systems and transition them from the current systems that we have now into these regenerative and sustainable modes. So we're in the process of acquiring Calnavar right now and are going to be building and living in it here very shortly.
Beautiful, beautiful. Awesome. And then on the end here we have Lennora, and I'm sorry, Lennora, I don't have your last name. And Lennora is with the Nevada Veterans Advocate, correct?
Yes, I'm with the Nevada Veterans Advocate Program. I try to inform the veterans of Nevada that we have so many benefits available to them. We have our Patriot program for employers who hire veterans, especially disabled, unemployed veterans. The tax benefits, we even pay part of the wages. So that's a huge program that Nevada employers need to be aware of. We also have our retraining assistance program for seniors, for people 35 to age 60. We provide 12 months of training, retraining for a different occupation for our veterans. We also have the make the connection program, where you log on, you sign up at NVNet, and you sign up for the online resources. It'll tell you about the benefits that you have coming as a Nevada resident, the federal benefits you have available, housing, business assistant, especially for minority veterans. That includes African Americans, Asians, Alaskan Natives, American Natives. Super huge programs, small business administrative programs for those veterans. So I'm just here to spread the word.
I'll take that. I'm a vet. I could use that. Thank you.
Sold. Awesome, awesome. Well, I want to thank all of you for being here today. And we do have some important topics, I think, to cover today and to help out. So, like I was saying earlier, life is moving very fast. How do we keep up with the changes is one of the big questions out there. You know, we're living in a really fast pace now, not like when, I know when I was a kid, you know, we didn't have answering machines really, or at least we barely used them. Yeah, we definitely didn't have smartphones or cell phones. I remember getting my first cell phone when I was a kid, but life was a lot simpler then. Now it's just fast paced. I mean, you always have something to do. It's let me return the text, let me return the voicemails, let me get onto Facebook and return my messages there. It's fast paced. How do we get out of this? Is there a chance to get out of it? Do we slow down? You were answering first, so let's go.
In my experience, my personal experience, I feel like the reason that people feel like it's moving so fast is because they're online all the time. And if you just turn your computer off for an hour, turn off your notifications on your phone for an hour, you'd be surprised at how much time you have.
Yeah. Reconnecting with nature. I mean, just going back outside and going through Red Rocks or going through any of these, you know, going down to Lake Mojave or something like that, and just disconnecting from the high frequency waves, right? And coming into the low frequency waves that we're disconnected from.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I also would feel that sometimes I feel almost obligated, like I have to be on my phone or be on Facebook to catch up to everybody. Does anybody else feel that way? Like I'm obligated to do that?
No, I know what you're saying though. It's like it's almost the feeling of missing out on something or don't want to miss something pop up as it comes out. And that is a conditioning, you know, that I think it's just part of that breaking it. It's just saying, I do need to go out in nature. I do need to get off my computer. I just need to do it and then do it.
Yeah, and that's why I mentioned, you know, I feel myself having that issue too. So I'm sure some of our listening audience has that same problem where now it's bred into as a society that, oh, I got to be on Facebook. I got to see what my friends are doing. I got to do this. I got to do that. And I think we got to make things, take it back to the basics a little bit and make it a little bit more simple.
Well, when we used to have real relationships with each other, now you go into a place and everybody's on their phone. I went into a restaurant once in LA and I looked at everybody was on their phone and I'm thinking, who's talking to who? And then I found out that he's talking to her. It's like, what? You can just talk face to face. I think that's part of what's been missing is what we used to know as kids. You know, the interpersonal relationships are missing.
Right.
Well, in my opinion, growing up with computers has been very interesting, I guess, in my opinion. With me, I use the softwares to do what I need them to do. So if I need to send 1,000 messages, I'll say certain things and use the softwares. Because I think that if I stay regenerative or if I stay just in one place, I'm not going to be able to even understand what else is out there if I don't even try it, because I would need to mess up just like any child. You know, you get this first toy, nobody knew how to build an erector set. But you figured it out, you know, you just tore it all apart. So I think it's a conditioning, absolutely. I think people get burnt out because they feel that they can't keep up, but it's just practice because they don't have time to do it. They feel, you know, it's like getting a new car. Try getting a Tesla. Huh? How are you going to do that? Mm-hmm. So that's where we're headed at, you know, in that direct. In my opinion, though, I think it all starts in school. I was very fortunate to be in one of the best school systems in the United States, which is in New York. And I was raised in the city, and I got to see at a very young age that, you know, 5 years old, 6 years old, you're going to have to walk this way, you're in a city. Started taking the train by myself at 7. So, you know, you start figuring it out, you know. But it's still it's very time consuming if you don't space it out. I think me and Lenny, we were talking about that recently. That I even myself, I felt overwhelmed because there's just so much back to back. I mean, I'm only one person compared to like 250 people that are throwing an event in my local area. You know, we're only 45 miles of a radius. So I always try to be in that, but then, you know, sometimes having that peer-to-peer support group, because all of us are in this mess together, you know, having somebody to tell me, hey, why don't you try, you know, turning off that phone for a moment, or why don't you try, you know, just coming over whenever you feel like it, you know, if you feel stressed out. I think that would help us out too, just helping each other out.
Yeah.
Because you might not know, like I might not know Excel softwares compared to, you know, PowerPoint. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, prioritize. We have to prioritize our day, just like you prioritize your work schedule. And if you don't have a mission, and you want to keep up with what's going on, you will be all over the place. Know what you want to do, know what's important in your life, and take it at your own pace. I've had to do that. I run a couple of nonprofits. I also run 2 businesses, and I try to do what I can for the veterans of my state as a native Nevadan. I want to, outreach is my call. And we have such a transient population, and a lot of those homeless men and women we see on the street are veterans, and a lot of our women don't self-identify as veterans. So you know, if I have to use technology to reach them, that's fine, but I have to prioritize. I have to set limits for the day. Rome was not built in a day, Christina. We cannot do it all. Nevada, thank God, we only got about 2.5 million in population in the whole state. But we're doing our best, the best we can. We're reaching our vets. We're teaching them about cannabis. We're teaching them about the benefits that Nevada has to offer them, especially with small business. And with your new Delphi Amphitheater coming out, we're so excited about that. An hour away from Las Vegas. It's going to be a fun house for adults. And an example for the rest of the communities to follow for sustainability. The water out of Spring Mountain is already pH'd. This is exciting stuff. Nevada's on the forefront, and I'm so proud of my state.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, we've really stepped up to the plate in a lot of ways lately, and yeah,
yes,
I couldn't be more proud than be from Vegas. You know, I love what you were just saying because it registered something with me. It's realizing, what do I choose in life? Okay? If I'm choosing to do something and it's going to make me busy, realize that that was my choice. And relax and be part of that choice, because I'm trying to create something, and don't get stressed out over the extra work that I put on myself or something like that because I chose a goal. So thank you, because you just helped me. It's like, yeah, remember to relax, Jeff. Remember to enjoy what you chose into at times instead of feeling stressed out, because a lot of times we do. We forget that. We forget that we're doing this for joy and for to accomplish something, and we get stuck in all the overwhelming things, and we get caught up in that and get negative over that, and you know, that's can be a big problem.
I'm a firm believer that you know, your environment has something to do with it as well too. You know, if we're demanding our industry to have, you know, 50 offices in the DMV, you know, at full blast, you know, or even the courthouse with all this technology at full blast, you know, we all have to take the time, I think, even within the workplace, within the school place, within the workplace, even within your house. You know, if you can't say time out, I need to go to my happy place, where is your happy place in your house? Is it the bathroom? Is it, you know, is it the living room? Is it, who knows? But I think by creating these habits, I think would, I don't know, I mean, I'm hoping it would help out here. But I'm a firm believer that Nevada is going to be the future for the United States. We have all the technology in here. We have great minds. We have, you know, exceptional laws that would allow us to build, you know, and actually sustain into something better.
You know, with the work that you do, and with the senior citizens and everything like that, sometimes I feel like they're getting left behind. And especially nowadays. I mean, nowadays with the technology we have and everything, we don't have to go out and physically work hard anymore. So some of these people we could use to our advantage, and we're not. And I think society has kind of turned back to them, and I don't want to say turn their back, but aren't acknowledging them in the way that we could be, to use them to our advantage and for them to have a happy, fulfilling life all the way through.
One of the things I've discovered is, like you were saying about leaving the seniors behind. I call them elders. Leaving the elders behind is, I was at the DMV, and I was in line behind a woman and a man who were waiting patiently to go to the counter and make an appointment. And she said, well, you have to make an appointment on your computer. Well, they don't have a computer. So then she said, well, use your smartphone. Well, they don't have a smartphone. So all of a sudden they're not available to use any of the technology because they don't have any access to any of that technology. She has a flip phone. That's the best that they have. What do they need a flip phone for? They have it because their kids said they needed to get a phone, and they got a phone so they could track them all over the place, so they always knew where their children could always know where their parents were. Well, that's nice and fine, but they wouldn't need a smartphone. They don't need a computer, and so they're being left out because of their lack of technology. And I think that's unfair. I'm an advocate, so I think that's unfair, and I also believe that the option that we have in the opposite direction is the technology is there. If you have that computer, if you have that cell phone, if you have that smartphone, learn to use the things that are really useful, not the things that everybody is doing, not the things that everybody is using. You don't need Microsoft Office because you don't do spreadsheets, so you don't make, Microsoft Word would work. You don't need the top-of-the-line video cards are you not going to play games? You don't need those things. So just use it for what it's the most useful. I think email is one of the best things that was ever created. It was one of the best things that ever happened. And I think that if everybody went back to just having email, we'd be having a lot more fun. But that's the option. So if they do have access to the technology, use it for how they can use it, and not be completely absorbed in, I got to have the latest thing. And that's one of the things that stresses out the seniors. I don't know how to use that. In Facebook, in Pinterest, Instagram, name some more. They're all out there.
Well, I feel the same way, though. I mean, technology is changing so fast, I can't even keep up with it. I mean,
why bother?
Yeah. It's been a year since I really did social media, and I thought I was getting good, and now I feel totally lost again. It's like, what's going on here? But I mean, I want to get back to what you're saying, though, because I do understand, being disconnected and not being able to go do certain things because you're not computer literate. I'm not even English literate. But being cut off in that way, you feel totally cut off from society. Exactly. You feel separate from everybody, and that's a horrible feeling, especially at that age.
Exactly.
But I also want to ask this. How many of them are willing to actually go in and learn? Because I know a lot of them are stubborn and don't want to go in and learn. What do I need to learn this for? Well, you need to learn it to stay up with society right now, unfortunately. So I'm just going to ask you that serious question. How many are really willing to learn the computer and learn to keep up with what's going on, too? Because it lies in their hands just as well as it lies in our hands, too.
Well, there's the potential for the people who want to learn these things. Their level of frustration is based on the fact that there's nobody willing to take the time.
I know somebody over sitting in the corner over there
that is willing to take the time. Because how frustrated do, let's say, I don't want to generalize, but we'll get the millennials in the story and say, how frustrated do they get when they're trying to reach their parents, or they're trying to get their parents to answer a text, or they're trying to get their parents to answer the email, and their parent is still trying to figure out how to turn the computer on. So the frustration lies on both sides. So it takes a little bit of time and a little bit of patience for people to understand the technology is here, we're here, and our goal is to catch up at our own pace. At our own pace. If you want your mom to check in and answer her text messages, teach her how to answer her phone and send text messages. Don't just assume that you bought her a smartphone and she's going to figure it out.
Yeah, I know my mom was resistant at first. She got an iPhone because my daughters have them. And she's like, I hate this phone. I don't like this phone at all. And then my daughter showed her how to play with it. And now she's just addicted to Candy Crush or whatever that game is on there. And it's hilarious. Yeah, once they learn, then they're fine. And that's with everybody. We're always, have lack of confidence if we're not sure about what we're doing. But as soon as we understand it, then we can keep moving forward in the right way.
Exactly.
And so, I think that's very important. So we'll get you in touch with Josh so that you guys can help teach. One thing you said was understanding, and I think that's a big, huge issue in the world right now. We got a lot of separation going on in our politics and all this other stuff, and to me, it's probably the one thing that makes me the most sad in my heart is watching so much division. It kind of brings me back to a story, though, that's in the Bible, the story of Babylon. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this at all. I'm just going to be brief with it, and I'm bringing it up for a reason. But in the story of Babylon, it talks about how they started to build their city and started to build the Tower of Babylon up to the gods, to reach the gods. And they were finally getting there, but it upset the gods that they were getting to their level. And so the gods came down and dispersed them all, changed their color of race and everything, changed their language, and made it so they couldn't reconnect again. And to me, that's exactly what I see on this planet. We have our different races fighting against each other. People that don't speak the same languages fighting against each other. People of different political parties fighting against each other, and it's ridiculous. The difference between each of us is the special thing about us, and we need to embrace that and understand and go with that understanding more than anything now, I think. And I want to talk to you about it, and I also want to ask you about this too. You're getting ready to create something like this. Have you put thought into how you keep peace in your city and how you keep everybody together on one level?
Well, yeah. It's funny because I was having a phone conversation with somebody who's doing something in California similar, and he was telling me how he was having problems with controlling that or having the conflict resolution and how to deal with that. And I can understand that. I mean, I've been in intentional community development for several years now, and that tends to be the number one demise in these community projects is they can't figure out whether they're doing consensus or if they're going to vote and who's going to own this and how they're going to do the money and how they're going to figure out how to get out of it, how they're going to separate. It's just crazy how they do that stuff. For me, what we're doing is we're going in as a business, and we're acquiring this town of Calnaver and the several businesses there. And I've run businesses before. We started up Frontier Airlines back in '94, and we're able to run these types of regular business, so people are going to come in. We're going to hire them like regular employees. And at most businesses, you can pretty much run a business pretty well and not have to deal with any of that drama. I mean, if you got the right HR and the right corporate culture and all that kind of stuff. Outside of that, though, in Calnaver, we're going to have several different co-housing communities. It's a village of villages that are going to take place. So, for example, myself and a couple of the other C-level staff, I'm going to have a house, and Leah and Adam and a couple of other, they're all going to have their own houses, and then we're going to have a house in the middle, and then we're all going to cohabitate there. We're going to live in our places, but we're going to go and eat in these, and we're going to do our laundry in these places. We're going to have our game nights there, and we're collectively going to have our own rules for that. And there's other groups that are going to be doing the same thing. They're going to have all their houses, and we're all living amongst each other. And there's another house over there, and the vegetarians are all going over there. The vegans and vegetarians all want to do this because they're tired of seeing all the slaughter. They're tired of, and the people in the meat are tired of hearing the people talk about this is just slaughter, blah, blah, blah. So they go off, and now we've got enough people. We've got a vegetarian house and a meat house, and now we've got another one that's going on that's, halal, and it's just, all of those people doing their thing, and they'll come up with their own rules. So we're not building a giant community where everybody has to come in and we all have to make sure everybody's got the exact same values. I mean, when we're doing our hiring, that's our corporate building. That's our corporate culture of hiring people that have similar values and work ethic and all that kind of stuff. But when we go and we live in community, it's just like we have a mosaic in our culture now. We want to have a mosaic there, but how do we do this harmoniously? How are we going to do this where we can live side by side and have everybody's differing opinions, the whole array of them all living cohabitating together? And that's what we're going to, that's our job, is kind of mixing the alchemy of how do you get these different groups in there and get them on the right foot. Yeah,
and I think, especially on a project like that, you strive for that, but realistically, everybody is different. And so there's going to be people that, you chose to do it this way and not our way, and so they're going to be upset. But that's the thing. How do we come to that place of understanding? I know a lot of us here, we definitely understand that within ourselves, but how can we get the public to understand that? I know this is something that you're familiar with.
Yeah.
So how would you suggest, how do we get people to coexist together and understand how to coexist together in the positive way?
Well, I have one secret, and it's called meditation.
Oh, yeah.
If a group of people is together, I don't care if it's 1 to 1,000 people, I have them sit, breathe, get quiet. Once they're in that space, it's a lot easier to look at the similarities than our differences, because we're going up to a spiritual level. So once our breathing is in that place, everything that they wanted to fight about, they forgot by the time the meditation's over. So I usually work from that place, and it's pretty successful as long as I remember to do that. And then just telling a person to just breathe. You know, it sounds really simple, but I've seen the power. One of the gals, I think she was sitting next to you in the meeting the other night, Juanita, she will sit down whenever we're in groups, and if somebody's like getting their temper up, or they're, you know, she'll just say, okay, just take a breath. And it's amazing, but then that way the brain works better. And it's so simple, and everybody has that potential to just stop and slow down. I think people, their lives are so busy, but when they stop and slow down, they can actually do a lot more, and they do it with the right mindset. They're not rushed. I tell people when I coach, you know, you've got to take at least a day for yourself, or several hours where you're doing exactly what you want to do. Because why are we here if we're not doing that?
Yeah.
It's not just about the money, you know, and you're going to make money a lot easier when you're happy. So I remind people, let's look at your purpose, let's look at your why. Why are you doing what you're doing? And when I bring them back to that, then they usually can think differently about their circumstances.
Awesome. Do you have something to say? Because it looked like
Me?
Yeah, you looked like you had something to say.
Whoa, what's going on
and
here?
you kind of
You
come
and
from a different
the
perspective from
glasses,
us.
you there.
You there.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think, you know, having the opportunity to be raised in 2 different countries my whole life, because my mother's in the military, she retired last year. My brother also served. He got out in 2006. I got out in 2010. But my mother was a single parent, so in order for her to progress, she had to send me to grandma's house. Yeah, turns out to Peru. So,
Wow. Tough job.
Oh yeah. So I never had a summer vacation in the United States. So as an adult listening to Tupac, it's a little different for me compared to my age group. So I'm a little lacked at that. And that also made me realize why we have number structures in education. Because I can take a 7-year-old from Nevada and try to have him communicate with another 7-year-old from New York or maybe Florida. They're going to have some issues, even just from that moment. So I feel that, you know, if we're going to do this, we're going to do this from all angles. You can't just start at the bottom and just figure it out. No, we don't have time. Time doesn't exist in this type of pattern. So we have to come at it at all different ways. This language, we have to come at it, you know, from this age, you know, and hopefully kind of make a circle in the middle and just
And their value system too.
Yeah.
You know, they're different.
Yeah. So everything is something that I've learned even from Peru. I mean, the culture out there, they graduate, you know, at 16 years old, 17 and 18, they're already finishing up college. By the time they're 35, some of them are out of work because they don't want anybody older than 35. Which is very interesting. So what do? So because the system was broken for such a long time, I was able to see the different measurements, the anarchy. I was able to see that. I was able to see the struggle, but then always, you know, come back to the United States and everything's perfect in the Clinton administration. Well, let's go back there. What's going on over here? So back and forth and seeing 2 different worlds was epic for me, which also helps me talk to my veterans.
So let me ask you this, though, because there's one thing I've been able to see, because I go back to Idaho Falls for the Theta Healing Institute, and we have people from all over the world there. I'm also been lucky to be born and raised here, so I know people from all over the world here.
Yeah.
What was your experience between the family values from there to here? Do you think they're pretty much the same? They want to watch their kids grow up and be happy. They want to be happy, have a good living. I mean, is that core value pretty much the same from one place to the next?
Yes, but I think it was very interesting at the time where I grew up, because I was the social market type of baby. I was the go to McDonald's because you should eat it, take a Tylenol because you feel pain, and then Advil came out, and then we were like, what's going on? You know, that type of environment, from being marketed and then going to a Peru environment, which is all love and family and, you know, and just doing things together, mostly outside. Why? Because it took us even years to get technology out there to begin with.
Yeah.
You know, so it was a very interesting battle, because I would go to a 3rd world country and come back to a 1st world country, back and forth. But, you know, something, once again, that I will go back to is education. I feel that, you know, it would really depend on your administration, especially in your state, to try to administer that. And I think that Nevada is in good steps to trying to make it a better future.
Yeah.
Between Pahrump and now this beautiful place that we're going to be having, I mean, it's only way people from different cities are coming in here. You know, for me, an hour is godsend compared to driving 3 hours in New York.
Yeah, or what was it, 19-hour plane flight?
Oh my gosh. That's
One thing I want to hit on though is about that core value, because the one thing I noticed when I was in Idaho Falls in training all summer long is everybody was the same, and we had people from Japan, Mexico, Italy, I mean all over the world up there. Russia, I mean all different parts of Russia and everything. Everybody's core value was the same. They loved their family. They wanted to see their family grow. They wanted to do well in life and have a happy life. Everybody's core value was the same. And to me, that showed that nobody's different here. We might have different goals and different purposes, but nobody's different. But we want to look at our, you know, the people across the border as different than us, and they're not. They have the same values as us, and they want the same things out of life that we want, but we're sitting there fighting over stupid things. I mean, to me, that's where I think a lot of people need to wake up to. We're all the same.
Absolutely. I just think there's a lot of suffering in the community, especially after the shooting on the Strip. And then right now we have a lot of veterans suffering and caregivers of veterans. Right now, the Elizabeth Dole Foundation has the Hidden Heroes Summit right here in Las Vegas, October 13th. It'll be at the City of Henderson, Parks and Road. They'll be doing a summit for caregivers of veterans and veterans who are caregivers, and provide relief. We have caregivers that we can send to veteran homes to provide their families relief. When your caregiver is suffering, your veteran's going to suffer. Vice versa, if your veteran's suffering because he's a caregiver of family, like I am myself. I have two 70-year-old parents. Trying to get them on the technology bandwagon. We just installed a computer and a security monitoring system, me and Christine at my parents' house. So yeah, I'm bringing them up and hoping that they can not go through what that lady did at the DMV. That was horrible, Samela. It was horrible, and I can't believe they did that.
I'm not sure what you guys are talking about, but we'll find out really quick. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we will be right back. Thank you.
Retrospects is a purveyor, if you will, of historical eyewear. Retrospects is located on the second floor, right across from the Chandelier Bar. So when you look at our store from the outside, it looks like there isn't much going on in here. And then you open the drawers. We actually carry authentic pieces from the late 1890s to the 1990s. We have almost 3,000 pieces in here. It's like a treasure trove reveal. We do have a collection of new glasses that we have reproduced ourselves. It's called the Cuthbert and Chen collection. The safe is our jewel. It's our baby. We love it. It's from 1903. It weighs as much as a car. It's solid steel. We use the safe to hold our most precious pieces, our museum collection, if you will. People come in to find glasses that are not something they're going to find everywhere else. Not something all their friends are wearing, and something that they can tell that story. We sell stories as much as we sell glasses. We have pieces that we can associate with very famous people from history, movies, special events that happened in the past. And some of the favorites are the Ray-Ban shooter that Johnny Depp wore in Fear and Loathing of Las Vegas, the beautiful frame France Parisian plastic aviator worn by Bruce Lee in Enter the Dragon. Retrospects is not just about glasses. It's about the experience. It's about how these glasses make you feel. We are a full-service optical shop, somewhere where guests can come to get repairs, restoration, can put their prescription in. can get them a quick pair of sunglasses for the pool, and can give them a really great, just fun experience.
Welcome back to Consciously Rising. I'm here with our panel today, and we're talking a little bit about society and moving forward. I want to talk about a big, serious issue right now, and that is opioids. It's definitely become a big epidemic here, and unfortunately is then leading into heroin, because unfortunately they're finding out that it's cheaper and easier to get sometimes, especially since they've been cracking down on some of the doctors. You work firsthand with all of this as far as with the vets and everything like that, so I figured you'd have the best knowledge on this, on what we could share with our listening audience on why are you such an advocate for it? Why are you fighting so hard for this change? What experiences have you had?
Well, in my experience, coming from a military family, we all have different experiences as well, different wars, different things. But in this particular case, with me, I come from an extremely great family, but that did not stop my addiction issue. When I got injured in the military, it carried with me through my whole career. And I didn't know how to cope with that because, you know, I was trying to live up to my mother's dream or my own dream, who knows. But inner battles, I think, stop certain veterans. Guilt stops certain veterans. Different age groups, demographics. You know, some veterans are a little bit stronger than others, depending on where they were raised, you know. Yeah, I'm a little stronger, yes, because I'm from Queens, but am I really that strong? No, when it comes to addiction. I don't think anybody is. And so I also had to go through my different phases. So this is an extreme epidemic. It happens more, I think, in women. Men are just suicidal. So men won't go through it as often as women will carry it with them forever and just deal with it in the worst way. Broken relationships, you know, abusive ones, sexual ones, who knows what they're doing. There's a lot of sexual trafficking right now in the border states with veterans. They're using us a lot too. Why? Because some of them are miseducated as well too. They don't have certain foundations in the United States, but they still join our country because they have the right to. I'm a firm believer that nobody should ever take the right for you to serve this beautiful country. This is the best country in the world. And nobody should ever deny that, but we should have something for them. And so with these addiction issues, it triggers anything. I mean, you could break your hand, and you can be HR, or you can be in infantry, and you know, and stub your toe, and who knows. The whole thing is that it doesn't really matter what you do. We're always constantly training. So because we're training and we're constantly always using our bodies and always doing that, the best way to cope is the easiest way to do it. Sometimes even going to the VA, Veteran Administration Hospitals, you know, it triggers us. Even just to be around other veterans that are talking to different stories. Sometimes we're not ready to hear those things. Even just being in those environments, or sometimes me as a woman, there are certain things that I can't express in a circle full of veterans because, you know, I don't wake up the same way you do.
So all those things are forcing you, kind of pushing somebody back into that then?
Yes,
is that
it
what
does,
you're saying?
because once they come out, they're really wounded up. So a lot of the noises, like for me, example, once again, for me to go back to Queens, New York, it took me 7 years. I barely just went back a couple weeks ago. It took me 7 years to get back home. And I'm a New Yorker all the way. But I couldn't deal with the pushiness. I couldn't deal with the noises. I couldn't deal with the bickering. I couldn't deal with some of these things because I was exposed, and I did it gladly, but everybody goes through things differently, and that's where I think the veteran has an issue, is learning how to stop feeling so edgy all the time when something is going to happen. But then when we have incidents, unfortunately, like what happened in Route 99, we're back in that mode again.
So with you switching over to marijuana, that has kind of taken that away, or how has the experience changed since then to where it's the benefit over the opioids?
Well, initially for me to even attempt to use marijuana was a struggle. I went through every single phase because in New York, once again, I was raised in an environment that if you used pot, what we used to call it there, you were nobody. You didn't have a life. You were a drug addict, and this was it. So even attempting to use that. So I, unfortunately, had to attempt suicide 4 times. So every single one of them were with different substances. So I started off with my regular medications, then I started mixing the medications with alcohol because I still wanted to go out. I was still young, you know. And when you go out and you go, you know, you don't realize that, oh my God, I took my medication, or did I take my medication, or what's going on? I don't know, we're already here, let's go. So then all of a sudden, you know, you're waking up and like, who knows where? You know, you don't even know what you're doing. It's these little things that they take kind of away from our everyday kind of life. Even just going to the park is a hassle. It's so much for certain veterans. So I think it's a process. It's a process of understanding, and it all just starts with us in the community.
Education is key.
Little by
Like
little.
Cannabis Nurses Magazine started right here in Nevada. They were just inducted in the New Mexico library system as a periodical.
Yes, they did.
People are using Cannabis Nurses Magazine to educate their doctors, to educate their family members. Here, this is why Uncle Bob smokes pot in the garage. This is all about the endocannabinoid system and how it works, and how even dogs have one. Cannabis Nurses Magazine is free digitally online. It's cannabisnursesmagazine.com. As a veteran, I learned about the medicine of cannabis through Cannabis Nurses Magazine. My eyes were open. I was a Nancy Reagan girl, just say no. But after reading, I think this is their second year, the magazine's second year, and after reading each issue, I'm a true believer. I feel educated, I feel knowledgeable, and I think education is key when you're talking about cannabis over opiates. You know, when you have severe pain, opiates are the king, but they're highly addictive, and they were pushed on us like they were not highly addictive. They're pushed on veterans at the VA. That needs to change.
Yeah, well, one thing I definitely would like, if you guys don't mind really quick, because we only have 10 more minutes, unfortunately, but the physical change, that's what I really want to hit on, because a lot of people might not realize what that physical change can be, because if you're on opioids every day, I mean, you're lethargic, you're not living a full life and stuff. I mean, you're just in the daze most of the time. So making the switch from being on that, something like that all the time, to being on cannabis is, I mean, did you notice a huge difference? Was that a big change in your life?
I noticed a huge difference. I felt once I was off of my 6 medications, but I still take one of them. Once I was off most of them, I started noticing immediate change. My weight loss. I lost 40 pounds. And I have hip issues. I have bursitis in both hips, and each one has 6 cortisone shots apiece already. And it's been, you know, it's like one every year. With cannabis, I felt like I was replugged into the world. It was the most... It was night and day. It felt like I finally got a good night's sleep, and I woke up like, wow, that was a horrible dream. How long did that last? Oh, almost 6 years. I see. That's what I lost. Okay, let's get back to it. And that's
so now you got a life back. You
yes.
feel like you have a life back.
Absolutely.
And it's helping with the traumas and stuff that you had to go through on everything.
Every day I wake up. I take my days even hour by hour, half hour by hour. I have to learn how to do that. And what's interesting is that by me having, you know, a foundation like this that is more peer-to-peer, I can understand, you know, what that person is going through, because unfortunately I had to go through the same thing.
Yeah.
I was just lucky to come out alive from it. You're lucky too.
Yeah.
Let's be lucky together.
Well, I think as healers, sometimes we have to go through some of those situations so we become that better guide and teacher. Were you going to say something?
Well, the only thing I was going to add is that one of the statistics that I read just recently is one of the fastest growing communities to use cannabis are seniors.
Yes.
And one of the reasons that the seniors are using it is, number A, it takes away arthritis pain. And to relieve so many seniors of their arthritis pain, the realization that all the pills they're taking for their arthritis, and to help and to counteract the bad effects of the pills they're taking for their arthritis, to counteract the bad effect of the pills they're taking for arthritis, is such a tremendous boon to them that it's actually significant in statistic. I mean, it's a statistical point that says, hey, this stuff works. You can stop taking all those pills.
Oh yeah. We're going to cover a lot more on the future shows.
And you can still function.
What was it? Yeah.
Future shows.
Yeah.
Future shows.
So what I want to, well, it's because we don't have much time, and I still wanted to cover so much more. Really quick, I want to ask you guys, what do you feel like society is moving into right now, if we can, because I know we're going to have to go quick. How do you feel about society, and what is your outlook on what you feel?
For me personally, I feel a paradigm shift. I feel a change in attitudes. We've got an older population now that's advising us and mentoring us, and we need to cherish them and bring unity to ourselves and communicate. Communication is so important. So just speak to each other and let's know what's going on. Let us share the wealth, share the information. Just be an advocate.
Yeah, Sean.
It is amazing watching all the repercussions or the ripples through existence, looking at the hurricanes, the fires, the volcanoes, the earthquakes, and all of this stuff. It is certainly reminiscent of the apocalyptical end of times types of stuff, but I believe that experience has gone through these cycles before, and we'll go through them again, and that we are here learning these particular lessons. The Jewish calendar goes through these Shemitah cycles and the Jubilee cycles, and we're at the very end of this right now, which is a time where we're to have forgiven all debts. And then those of us that forgive them will be able to move forward and receive. Those that held on to this are not going to, right? And I think that's where we are right now. I think we're at the point where the meek are going to inherit what's left of the earth here very shortly and start that next cycle.
You're getting me excited for a whole new show that we're going to do, huh? Awesome. Jody, would you really quick let us know what you think?
I felt a lot of positive change this week. I think it's been, in the last week and a half, I know a lot of stuff has happened. I've seen people really with PTSD, a lot of anxieties come out. But I think that it also offers an awakening, a really deep awakening from people, because I keep my pulse is on the spiritual community, and I see as we do go through these things that the community, the way the community has reached out has been just absolutely incredible. I've been here over 40 years and I've never seen anything like that in Las Vegas, because I've always felt like I'm taking care of what I need to do for Sin City by being who I am and balancing things my own way. And now I see so many other people just wanting to make a really big shift. It's good. It feels really amazing. It's like we're in the eye of the storm, and things are safe. It feels a little bit safer now than it did a week ago. And
yeah, I think that was one of the reasons why I really wanted to do the show, because there's so much change and energy going on right now, and with some of the things that have happened in the past couple of weeks here in town and around the world, people need to realize, I think it's a good thing with some of this change that we're going through. But if we do want to make changes in the world, I think it's really simple and easy. Just smile at the people around you. Say hi and mean it. You're going to change their day, and you're going to make them happy, and then you're going to go do it to the next. Then we're going to start to create the ripple effect you were just talking about. It's really easy to change the world. Anybody can change the world. All you need to do is have a smile and be really compassionate when you say hi. Mean it like you want to hear it the same way back to you. Yeah. And I did that as an actual practice in my life, and believe me, my whole world changed. The minute I did that, everything changed. Everybody I walk to up on the street, if you look me in the eye, I'm going to say, hi, how you doing? And I'm telling you what, 99% of those people look back to me and say hi in the nice, same manner that I just said to them. If they're looking in the sidewalk and don't make eye contact with me, then fine, they didn't enter my world. They can continue on their way the way they want to do it. But I chose to do this, and it's made huge changes in my world.
It's so simple.
Yeah, it is. And we all can make that change. We don't have to be big healers. We can just be that simple person, and that simple person makes better change, I think, because other people can relate to him a lot more.
Absolutely.
You know what Rumi says? Rumi says, leave your house as a lamp, a light, a lifeboat, or a ladder.
That's awesome.
Oh,
that's awesome. Well, we got 2 more minutes, so let's quickly.
Really quickly. I started seeing the change after our recession. I started seeing that very quickly, especially here in Nevada. So once Warren Buffett bought out Nevada Energy, I started seeing all these laws and all these different things. I think that by having the backing of your community to help you, it's like a parent helping a child. You know, I live with you, you live with me. How can we help each other? And so I think by seeing all these different changes, you know, the GOP coming here, we had our last debate in UNLV for the presidency. I mean, it's massive. Why was Las Vegas so focal point? Because we have one of the less disastrous areas in the whole United States. So we should take advantage of the fact that we don't have natural disasters and be a little bit more humble about, you know, our environment, but also never forget to take care of ourselves, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
and you hit a good thing
balance.
too. You know, our kids. If you're a parent, worry about your kid. Don't worry about the kids next to you and stuff unless they're bugging your kid or something, and then still have compassion and understanding there. But you want to change the world again, start by working on your kid and giving your kid the love and attention that they need and the education that they need to move forward.
Yeah.
Really quick.
I was just going to say, I think that, what they say, the world needs love. In the reality, if you get up every day grateful, say thank you, it'll motivate you to go out that door and be the face of God in everyone you see.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. I want to thank all of you guys for being here. I really enjoyed it. I wish we could have had at least a 2-3 hour show because there's so much more to cover. But I definitely thank you all, and I will definitely have you guys back on here, and we'll do this again really quick. So thank you so much for tuning in. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.